gentlemen, welcome to another Grassroots Chats show. Finally, we have all the lads back in the building. The angry one back with his sexy, sexy voice after being slapped in the throat and looking all wonderful as Arsenal has been winning. We also have Big Steve in the house, forever Arsenal till he dies, wearing that wonderful jersey. And of course, we have the wonderful non-league perspective in Neil Hinder. Okay, people, before we start going, Man United is crap and yada, 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 and talking about the wonderful weekend, we are going to actually start with Chelsea. And I'll tell you what, we're going to start with Chelsea. First of all, people, if you like what you hear, what you see, please subscribe, hit that red button. All of us here in the Grassroots Chats, our heart goes out to what's happening in Ukraine and what's happening everywhere else in the world. And hopefully there shall be peace soon. Let's start with Chelsea and Roman Abramovich trying to sell Chelsea to possibly anybody that has £3 billion. I'll tell you what the annoying part is for me, the angry one. He says he's going to give the money to charity. What do you think?
He's a nutter. I can give that much money to charity. In that case, I don't know what he's doing, man. There's some sort of loophole there. Anyway, charity begins at home, to be honest. So I don't know. It's a bit mind-boggling that amount of money can go to charity.
Do you think anything selling Chelsea will change anything about Chelsea? Do you think they'll give managers more time? What change would that bring other than change of ownership?
Well, it's massive because, to be honest, Abramovich, love him or hate him, he was a top owner in comparison to the others. So you've had the Glazers, they whack.
How are the Glazers whack? They put more money in Man United than any other team.
Okay, but they haven't had the same level of success as Roman has. Roman loves the team. He loves Chelsea. So it's not a case of investing in whatever. It's his passion, and those managers are similar to the guy at Leicester. So those owners are rare. So if you get an owner who wants to run it as a business, then they're not going to donate $3 billion to charity, are they? So that's the difference. So he's kind of unique in that way. He came in, he changed the face of the Prem at the time. So it all depends on the owners. I mean, you might get a Man City owner who just wants to win. They'll pump money into it and they'll do whatever needs to be done, get the best. Might get a Newcastle manager owners similar that they want to do the same. Or you might get what Arsenal got, or Everton got, or Man United got.
Well,
or what Newcastle had before, Mike Ashley. So.
Mike Ashley, the great. Neil, what do you think? So do you think Chelsea will sell at some point, and surely this wouldn't affect anything in terms of the players or ambition?
I mean, the people that are going to be buying Chelsea aren't poor, and they're going to be pretty damn rich to be spending £3 billion on a football club. But Abramovich has made Chelsea into a worldwide brand in that period of time. He's given $1.5 billion to the Ukraine aid effort for the conflict of war. So, do you know what? Like, he got his money in a not a very nice way when they were dishing out money in Russia at the time, and he's put it into Chelsea. They own $1.5 billion. He said he doesn't want any of that back. Then if he doesn't fair play, he's still got billions in the bank. He's still rich. Let's not forget that. He's not going, I'm giving all my money away. He's giving the Chelsea money away, which is fine, and still way more than I can afford to give away. And if I was in this situation, probably wouldn't be giving it away either, because I'm a little bit greedy like that. So fair play to him. He's trying to distance himself with it. It's a shit situation for him as an individual. He might have been a friend of Putin at some particular point, but I believe he's trying to distance himself on a personal level to it as much as he can without making himself an enemy for Russians, as well as looking good.
You're going into this war too much, man.
It's way too political, but you brought it up, right? No, it's not a subject we can just go into and go, right, he's selling it. He's not selling it because he wants money, right? He's selling it for all the right reasons, to get rid of it, to get rid of the club, and he's no longer going to be there.
No wonder. Wonderful. The question was, do you think change of ownership will affect Chelsea? You're the one who's going round and round and round about...
Yeah, because these are important facts. We can't just water over the fact. It's not just like Mike's got a sore throat.
Censorship.
Okay. State media owned Grassroots Chat here.
Dictator.
And actually, if you find the first thing I said was there'll be rich people, so no.
Okay, thank you very
And
much.
then I added the caveats at the end, which I think were important, and I think we should discuss them. Are we going to talk about Chelsea Football Club this?
Yes,
their
we
games
are.
or
We
just
are.
their
Once you stop talking,
dirty money.
Big Steve.
The happiest person with Abramovich's announcement is Tuchel, because it means his job might go past the summer if they don't win anything. I think that it will change the mentality of Chelsea, even though new owners coming in, they could be rich, but Abramovich came with a different brand of success. He wasn't shy to just change the managers and spend the money, and Chelsea's level of success came from him all the way down. I don't see them getting another owner with that drive as well as finance to keep pushing them. So I don't think Chelsea will continue to be as successful as they have been under the Abramovich banner.
There's the hopeful Arsenal fan.
No, I know it, mate.
Well,
but then there's Newcastle anyway, so
I mean, there is some rumor that the same guys that own Newcastle were inquiring about trying to buy the Chelsea. I wonder if they'll ever let that happen. But looking at Chelsea in the Premier League this weekend against Burnley, Burnley started this wonderful run, even if they lost to Liverpool. The first half was so wonderful, and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 10 minutes, Chelsea scores 3 goals. Now, one of the good things about that game is the return of Reece James. That guy looked wonderful. It looked like he was that one player they have been missing. And he has come back in the team at the time where Pulisic is looking nice. And of course, Havertz has found his form. So I'll start with Mike. Mike, is Havertz looking like, the player that we knew him to be in Germany? Has he finally acclimatized with the English Premier League?
I wouldn't say that. I would say he had a good game or a good couple of games. Let's not get carried away.
He's having a good season, though.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, it's all right. He's doing well, okay, but let's not get too gassed. Like he's, I don't know, Saka or somebody. But he's doing all right. But I don't know, that team's a bit dysfunctional. He has all the parts, but randomly in the wrong places, because it on paper and early on in the season when they had their fullbacks, it's almost as if when they don't have their fullbacks, they just fell apart or something. I don't understand how it works, but because we all, or I did anyway, we're saying Chelsea to win the league, blah blah blah. I can't see anybody else beating them, and now we're saying that they might not even get third if Arsenal catch them.
So,
or
Big Steve, what does it say about a team that's very reliant on not just their fullbacks, but what does it tell you about the team that the fullback is like one of its key players? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing?
Well, it's not too bad because Liverpool's been doing it for the last few seasons, relying heavily on their fullbacks. So we just haven't seen Liverpool without Robertson or Alexander Arnold for a long period of time. So a top team being reliant on their fullbacks is nothing new. Reece James came back in and he relooked the business. It's the thing, successful teams. I know people talk about big squads and stuff, but when you look at them and they win leagues and titles, they're not that much changed. They do have a core set of players that is playing week in, week out. So if you take one of those components out, which is key, they're going to suffer. And Reece James, over this season, has proven to show that he's very, very key to Chelsea and how they go.
Neil, do you agree or disagree with the angry one when he says, let's not get too carried away by Havertz? Is this just a flash in the pan, or do you see him actually looking like this form or class might continue, however you want to look at it?
He's their top scorer this season with 13 in all competitions, which for him, since he's been there, isn't a shabby season. That's not bad. He might end up on almost 20 at the end, which I don't think is too bad, considering he wouldn't have been the first choice to be popping up at the centre. I didn't personally think Reece James had a great game. Yeah, he was better than potentially what they'd had. I thought Chelsea looked really leggy. I thought their passing looked tired. They were heavy. Burnley were good in the first half, but the second half, Burnley stopped pressing. They sat back. They let Chelsea, I want to almost say, score 3. I don't want to say that they didn't deserve to score them, but Burnley were as poor I think, as I've seen them this season, conceding 3 goals in a game. They're not usually like that, and I don't care who they're playing against. They were really, really poor, and I don't even think Chelsea defended well or even played well in that game. I think we're overlooking the fact that Lukaku didn't get him in the team. He's been dropped out for favour of Havertz, so that says a lot to Tuchel's favoritism of who he wants in that team. And I mean that in like, do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, but I mean, he wasn't playing. I thought after he'd scored in the cup, he'd be coming in. And you'd also think with Burnley, they're quite I want to say aggressive, rough team. You know, they're not like your friendly team. And then to put Havertz on rather than Lukaku, you thought Lukaku maybe would rough him up a little bit.
But could it be
there,
that he was putting Havertz on based on form? You know, I mean, the guy has been playing well, so why not just continue?
Look, they got the 3 points, and they made the right decision. If I looked at that on paper, I would have thought Lukaku would have been starting. He'd scored a goal. He looks like that of the two who I probably would have played against Burnley. I'm not saying Havertz isn't good. Havertz is just half as slight. And Mason Mount just looks poor at the moment. I don't know what's going on with him. He had a good season.
Basically, he's heard all the hype that JJ was giving him all those years. It's went to his head.
He's just disappeared, hasn't he? He was like this great footballer, and then suddenly he can't score,
He's changed his hairstyle as well.
That's got to be. It's too heavy, right?
Yeah, it's too heavy.
It's him down. Yeah,
so would it be a surprise, Big Steve, if we're already talking about Lukaku looking like he's on his way out of the team or not looking like he can break into the team, what is the story with Timo Werner?
Mate, if I did the answer to that one, I'll play the lottery numbers as well. I don't know. I don't know if his confidence is definitely gone. But yeah, I don't know if he's going to play them together and then he works better as a two. But even when he's got chances, he misses horrendous. It's horrendous when he misses. So I don't know. For once, I'm stuck for words.
So it's fair to say that Chelsea will most likely finish third. I mean, mathematically, they can still win the league, right? As all of you like to talk about mathematics. But they're looking, if they're not, I don't think we can all agree that they're playing really wonderful football, but at least they're doing enough to get the 3 points, which is all good. Now, the question here is, going on to the wonderful Manchester derby. Woo! What a great game for the first 20 minutes. What a wonderful game. Sancho scoring against his old club. I was happy. I was thinking, this could be it. But now the first question I want to ask before we actually talk about situations in the game, how good a manager does Pep look, especially knowing that most teams go in there knowing exactly what he's going to do, but they can't really do anything about it. So, I mean, Tottenham did some good football. Not some. I mean, they got 3 points at the Etihad. Why is it so difficult for other teams to play against that strategy, even if it has been there for seasons and seasons? Let's start with you, the angry one. Seeing as I know as you love Pep so much.
He's all right. No, it's about execution, isn't it? So you can't really. Only top teams can really outplay them. So everybody else, you're talking about the Liverpools, maybe the Chelseas. Other than that, no one else can really outplay them. So you basically, the teams that beat them basically sit deep in low blocks, whatever, and they hit them on the counter. So if you're going to do that, you're going to do that, but you have to be clinical because you won't get that many chances. You guys were clinical in the first 20 minutes, but then after that, it was a massacre, to be honest. So in answer to your actual question, they know what you're going to do as well because you're going to sit back. It's like the old days of Barcelona. You can't outplay them. So you have to just basically rope a dope as Muhammad Ali used to do, and then just hit him back on the break. I couldn't say that name for ages, and then just hit him on the break. But it's just down to whether or not you finish. Example: West Ham against Liverpool the other day. If they finish their chances, they win that game. You don't finish your chances, you lose the game because you're playing a superior team.
I mean, it's if you watch that game, Big Steve, it started off okay. There was the first half was all right, especially all right in the sense of Man United, because compared to the first game at Old Trafford, that it was total dominance from peep to peep. But this time Man United showed like, there was something might come out of this game. But then what does it say about the mentality of the team where so Man United is losing 2-1. you could still say, okay, Man United is in the game, but then City scores the third goal, and after that, the possession at some point was 92% to 8. Big Steve, please explain that to me. I said explain, not now.
Sorry. It just shows that Man United is a long way off. A long way off City, and not prepared to play within their capabilities to get so they can affect the game the best that they can. Yeah, because you, as Mike says, you're up against City, you know what they're going to do, so you have to get in there with a clear strategy. If you think that you're better than what you are, and you come out, they're going to tear you apart. It's as simple as that. Man United don't seem to play to they're trying to do square pegs in round holes.
Neil, would you say is City's title to lose from the way the games are going, or do you still think that Liverpool would match them going forward?
You're only asking me questions about City. I know nothing about United. Sitting there thinking, like, come on. I've got to have at least one question, like one comment.
There's still time.
Let's not bypass United, right?
There's still time.
Go for it, Neil. Go for it.
There's still time.
So I think the only people that thought Man United were in the game were Man United fans. Like, they had one shot, one goal. They were poor from start to finish. The efficiency, yeah. I mean, that's good. But you've got to be efficient with 4 shots, 4 on target, 4 goals, right? That's the only way that you're going to beat them when they're, or draw with them in that case. I think United have got a couple of issues that need addressing. Yeah, but
no heart, one of them. No,
I mean, Ronaldo some hip flex or something. I don't know what was going on. I couldn't even figure that one out, and what Roy Keane couldn't even figure out what was going on there. There's this whole mantra of United of being a juggernaut, and they used to be, right? And quite rightly so. They earned their stripes, or bought their stripes in the case it was. And they did well. They had good players. They're a step beyond everyone else at the time. And they're probably one of the biggest clubs in the world, right? If not the biggest. It will be debatable if you look at revenue or shirt sales or whatever it is. But without a doubt, they're one of the biggest clubs. Their mentality to not employ a manager, regardless of whether it was just to the end of the season, they don't get Rangnick in. That's the first mistake that they've made. And I don't care. Gary Neville can go and suck a toe for all I care on this situation. If he's listening, he can phone me up. My bright big one, right?
Leave your number.
He was defending. He was having an argument with Micah Richards. He was right. Micah was right. He should not be putting in. Rangnick shouldn't have the job. It should have been Conte. They could say that they want a manager for a couple of seasons, but they give a manager a 5-year or a program, and they're not following it through. Whoever it is, whether it's Ole, I mean they could have done. But Ole, and who else have you had? You've had Gus Hiddink. You've had Moyes.
Who's Gus Hiddink?
Was it Hiddink? No, who was the first one?
It was
Van
Gaal. That was it. Van Gaal. What, 2 seasons? You had Moyes that lasted 9 months or whatever it was.
That's a little bit racist, though. A bit racist.
The other Dutch guy.
Any Dutch guy.
You know what I'm about. Overmars or Bergkamp, whoever it was. But they've given long contracts, but they're not going through. And so that's a philosophy now of Man United of not actually having it. We've got to get past the fact of that Ferguson was there for so long. Because that doesn't happen very often. The whole Wenger and Ferguson being 20 odd years doesn't ever happen, and it probably will never happen in football again. It is a 2 or 3 year, maybe 5 year if you're really lucky out of a manager. But you've got to trust in the process, right, boys? But there's got to be this level of buy-in from whoever you get in. You have to see it through. So Man United don't have that. They want to follow the Chelsea route now of sack the manager if he's not good enough, and we'll work it from there. And that at the moment hasn't worked either. But you've either got to stick with one or go with the other. But the worst thing that they're doing at the moment is they're just buying names like a 12-year-old boy on foot. Oh, I need to buy him before someone else buys him, right? I've unpacked him. There's literally no plan for long-term players. And we were talking about how important fullbacks were. And you can see that with United, how important fullbacks are, because they don't have fullbacks that are decent enough. That's not getting to the centre-back debate, because we know it's bad enough as it is. But the whole fullback issue, right, is massive there. If they had
no midfield either.
And we say footballers aren't great footballers. Look at who was the Man City fullback today that almost biked it in the back of the net, right? Like
Cancelo.
Yeah, didn't want to get the wrong name. he almost biked it in the back of the net. So football has changed so much. I know Pep plays a whole different style and wants the best of it. But Man United, we're talking of levels. We're talking of way, way different levels. And I know the other week I said Man United still managed to get in and then in and out of that top four. But that performance today was so lackluster and so poor that Man City were probably embarrassed for them at some particular points because they made 720 passes of sideways football. And I think that was probably the last 20 minutes just to stop
Go on.
the game.
But you know what, though?
700 and something.
720 passes.
But you know what, though? If you think about it, it's not really surprising because honeymoon period is over. So up until now, Man United had a good run. We all thought that they were going to blitz the top four because they had winnable games, and they've been having poor results or at least poor performances and lukewarm results against beatable teams. This is the first team that they've actually played, barring if you want to continue, even Arsenal, who are better than these guys, but they beat them. But that was a shoddy performance. So they haven't been playing well anyway. You come across the best team in the league at the moment, or like a big team, and you get torn apart because that's what, based on your previous performances, what else could you expect?
Yeah, but then
at the moment,
what formation did you play today?
It doesn't matter.
No, I get that, but I was sitting out, I was trying to work out who was where, and they weren't in any formation for any bit of the game.
It was 4-3-3. So, see, first of all, you could pick the best formation ever. You go onto that pitch and everything changes. Based on what Mike said, though, but Mike, it's not surprising with the performances today, saying you play a big team and then you're pretty much spanked. There's no surprise there whatsoever. I mean,
no, it wasn't a spanking. It was a violation. It was a molestation. Okay. I almost called it.
All right, thank you very much. Big Steve, is Man United can kiss fourth spot goodbye? I mean, I did say that Man United is not going to finish in the fourth spot. So it's fully, last week it was advantage Arsenal. So we can't say Arsenal is going to finish in the first spot. I'm asking Big Steve. I'm asking Big Steve because it's not a jinx. You have your fourth.
Providing, depending on what the outcome of tomorrow's game is, if Tottenham do not get 3 points, then it is a big advantage. Arsenal.
No, it's not a big advantage. It's either I mean, you're fourth right now, and you have 3 games in hand.
No, that's on Man United. But what I'm trying to say is, if Tottenham do not get 3 points tomorrow, then it's a massive. That's what I'm trying. It's massive advantage to Arsenal.
But hold on, our games in hand are against Spurs and Chelsea. So how's that a big advantage?
25 games like you, and but they're 6 points behind. So I don't know what Big Steve is talking about. Massive advantage here.
No, so if they lose tomorrow, they've played an extra game, and they're 6 points behind us. If they win tomorrow, it's 3 points, and they have to play us. So
question number 1: Man United can kiss fourth spot goodbye. Yes.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
No.
I think JJ. I think you're just projecting at the moment. I think you're just projecting it out. We can kiss it goodbye.
Okay. No. All right. So moving on from the Manchester derby, because we have loads of other games to talk about.
I think we still got a good 40 minutes to dissect this game.
Tune in next week, people, for the remaining 40 minutes, because I mean, all season we've spoken about what Man United issues are. I mean, if the four of us can say this constantly every week, and of course your good friend that you want to, what do you want him to do? Do something to a toe? And he says it week in, week out, and these guys don't listen. Don't really know what we can do. But talking about employing one manager and then employing some other manager that a lot of people that might not have really known, we're going all the way to Leicester versus Leeds. First of all, the return of Vardy. Vardy comes back into the team and some other key players, and all of a sudden Leicester is looking like they were a couple of seasons ago. Vardy, man, brings a whole difference to that team. The movement, the belief, all that story. And of course, my good friend, Harvey Barnes. Oh, Harvey Barnes making the team look so wonderful. So it's clear to see that these teams all have very key players that if they're not around, they can't really do much. But then Leeds goes and hires Jesse Marsh. And this guy has come in to look, biggest job so far was coaching RB Salzburg or so, and he's very famous for his halftime speech, even if they still lost the game. But Leeds looked a bit more compact against Leicester, so I thought. What do you think, Big Steve?
I didn't actually see the game because I had other things pressing. But from what I heard, Leeds were looking a little bit better. But without the key players coming back, it's still a struggle for them. And then to take on board a new style of play, I think they're hard pushed to avoid relegation. Really do.
I mean, Neil, would it be a case of they would have just stuck to Marcelo till the end of the season? Or is this a risk that might actually pay off?
I think Leeds were a dead end with what they were going to look to do. I don't think that there was a lot of love for him. It almost reminds me of when Leicester got rid of Ranieri. The idolization of him is there. His philosophy of football has been fantastic, and he has had Leeds playing some nice football. His inability to change tactics has been his own downfall. Had he changed them 6 games ago and gone, you know what, this isn't working either, then we need to stick to plan A, then maybe he'd have had a case. I don't think he would have minded being sacked in the slightest. New guy,
Jesse Marsh.
Jesse Marsh. March. I don't know how to pronounce it. You put an S in a name, it confuses me. So I believe he has been working quite hard at the clubs he's been at, hasn't he? He's been at Montreal Impact, New York Red Bulls, RP Leipzig, RB Salzburg. I don't know if anyone notices that's all the Red Bull teams. So where was he due next? So that's the question, right? So now he's in the Premier League, biggest, grandest stage of them all. And yeah, he did get Leeds a little bit tighter. Maybe they were more competitive for the game. But ultimately, if you lose 4-0, 5-0, 1-0, you're still at the bottom, right? The honeymoon period started. They were against Leicester, like you said earlier. Although you pretty much said everything about Vardy that we were all going to say. Having Vardy back is a massive deal for Leicester. He is, 33, 34, I want to say. He's been around a bit now. But his impact and maybe him being out for a few weeks is going to help him in the long term of this season as well. They're struggling to replace him, but you can't replace... There's certain players you just can't replace when they leave a team. They leave big voids, and there is no one to come in. And those 3 points for Leicester were huge. Just giving them a little bit more breathing space from the bottom. And Rodgers is a good manager. I think he deserves some good time there and to get a decent project in. And I think they've got some... Depends on who they keep it over the summer. They'll be a good team for next season.
Well, the thing about Vardy, what's impressed me over the last couple of seasons is his mentality. He actually shows that he's a very, very smart forward. When the season Leicester won the league, I just thought, oh, he's a striker. But what he's shown over the last 18 months to 2 years is that he's very, very intelligent.
Well, the thing with that is, apart from, the fact that you just saw his intelligence in the last 18 months, man, it shows that you have not been watching that guy, man. I mean, the angry one is a big fan. The angry one,
He's a keeper.
Yeah, low
He's a keeper,
blow,
that's
man.
why.
Low blow.
Mate, Vardy plays up front.
No, Steve's a keeper. Ex-keeper.
I did say in the last episode that...
JJ tried to do that to me last week as well. I don't know who told you about that.
Mike, I'm sure we've played at least 3 testimonials for Big Steve. At least 3.
Yeah, because my career lasted 3 decades. That's standard. What?
Yeah, but...
What, your 40s, 50s and 60s?
Ooh.
I'm still doing it.
But the question here with Leicester is, so what does that say about... Is it strength in the squad or strength in depth and all that? What does that say about teams that cannot particularly perform with very key players? I mean, if you look at the Leicester strike force, you have Vardy, who's there. You also have Kelechi Iheanacho. You have Daka. You have good players. You have Madison that can come in and support. But what does that tell you? Once these guys leave, the team just crumbles.
Sorry, I was going to say, Leicester
on.
sold a really good defender who is performing well above his level.
Oh, right? Here we go.
A proper good defender. And for a lot of money. And then he went. And the team he went to couldn't... I can't keep a straight face on that one. Some people are easy. You can't replace people like Vardy, though. People that score that many goals. It doesn't matter where you are. That is the hardest position to play on the pitch.
But hold on, they haven't really replaced Kante, really. Or, they got Tielemans, but he's not Kante. And they haven't replaced Mahrez
you could
either.
say Tielemans replaced Danny Drinkwater.
Where's he now? Is he
Ole
still at
Gunnar.
Chelsea?
He's at Fulham, I think.
Yeah.
He's
The
somewhere in London.
Yeah.
The thing is with Vardy, you don't replace Vardy like for like. You change the way you do it. So you get another striker in, and you'd have to play a different way. You can't get a striker and expect them to play exactly the same way Vardy plays. They'll have to change their game, and that goes the same for all big players. Salah at Liverpool.
Well, speaking about strikers and replacing or not replacing, it was a battle at what would be considered almost at the bottom of the table with Norwich v Brentford. Now, let's talk about our wonderful striker who was in Dubai having some fun time. Some chick came up to him and he said, the F word to his own very team.
Man.
But now he's back with a hat trick, Brentford beating Norwich 3-1. Last week, we were talking about this, and Big Steve and, of course, Big D, who doesn't happen to be here today, they did mention the fact that Brentford would definitely be dragging this relegation battle. Is it still looking that way, or can we just say Leeds look like they're going to continue sinking? Big Steve, I'll start with you on that one.
Yeah, it's not say they'll play Norwich. So if they're playing someone halfway up the team, Norwich up in their own head, they're gone already. So if they're playing a team higher up the league and they've got that result, then yeah, maybe you can say Brentford's turned the corner. But they're playing someone who's worse off than them. I still think they're going to be in free fall, even though Christian Eriksen does offer them something in terms of creativity, and hopefully Tony's turned up for the rest of the season. But yeah, I still think they're going to be battling out for relegation.
The angry one, other than the fact that he was probably trying to take your chick in Dubai, what do you think about Ivan Toney? Do you think he's the real deal? Second of all,
First of all, ain't no one taking my chick. Second of all, swearing all that anyway. But that's another story. They said the guy needs to focus on his football. Stop worrying about chicks. That 10-penny chicks don't make no sense. But I mean, it's Norwich. It's a 6-pointer. You've done them. Norwich. I mean, Norwich have had a couple of results recently, but Brentford should be beating Norwich, even if they weren't in the relegation battle. Brentford are a better team than Norwich. So he scored a hat-trick. Okay, great. That's just great for him individually. But, I mean, I wouldn't rule them out completely yet, because Newcastle are looking like they're all right. They can do Leeds, you don't know. Based on that performance against Leicester, I mean, they could grind out a couple of wins here and there. Burnley, you never know what they're going to do. So, I mean, I think Watford are probably down. But again, it's the Premier League. You don't know. 2-3 games and it turns around.
One of the things I want to talk about with the Norwich team is, as you guys have already mentioned, yes, they're pretty much to start preparing for life in the Championship. Last season, they looked like, they were way above it. We're probably hoping that, when they came back into the Premier League, they'll be looking like they'll compete. But nope, it's not looking that way. However, Billy Gilmore, the Chelsea midfielder that's on loan at Norwich. Neil, have you seen enough of him to say he could go back and get a shirt in Chelsea?
Yes and no. He's not going to get a shirt back in Chelsea. Yes, I've seen him play. Man, these are just different levels of football, aren't they? Like we've seen people come up from smaller clubs, right, and play for bigger clubs and really struggle, especially in the center of the central defense. Maguire being one of them. So you've got to remember these guys then trying to get game football is really, really hard. Maybe he'll come back and he'll be a sub and come on and maybe he'll stake a claim that way. But Chelsea have had a lot of decent midfielders across the years that haven't made it, going out and then coming back. So yeah, I think Norwich. I've got a few things about that game. Dean Smith was the worst appointment for Norwich they could have had. They needed someone to get them a brand of football ready. If they were going to go down, they knew that they needed to prepare for that with a decent brand of football. They were really good for the first 10 minutes of the game, and then they literally folded. Brentford have only got 1 point in their last 8 games going into that. So that's the level that they're at. You've not even mentioned the love story, the drama, the fact that Eriksen played football again, right? Started. No, man, like
Hugweiler's on the ground.
We said that last week.
But no one cares. He started first starting appearance. Not only that, it was the same ref that he was in for his last that helped save his life, right?
Taylor.
to stop there, and Pookie was in the game as well. So there was quite a lot of similarities there. They had a really good use of VAR, but for the high foot, right, for the penalty, which looked like it. I'm a little bit confused about VAR. I think most of us pretty much are. Right?
I've
it was a
given
high
up.
foot to the head, and he said it looks like a penalty. Right? It was a penalty. High foot to the head in the box. That's a penalty. Why does the ref need to check that? It
Because
wasn't like subjective.
He didn't see it. He didn't see it the first time.
Yeah, no, but the VAR, I told him.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The ref didn't see it the first time. So he had to go and look at it to say, okay, wow, this is what I missed. That's it.
Yeah, but why didn't VAR? I get it on something that's a little bit innocuous, but surely VAR to say, yeah, he's kicked him in the head, man. That's why he's bleeding.
Yeah, but because they don't want to take the authority from the ref. The ref has to see it. And what they'll say is, we've seen something. I think you should need to check it out, because they don't want to take the authority from the ref.
But that's what VAR should always do. They should look at an incident and send the ref to the screen. So it always looks like the referee is making the decision. But what we see with the implementation of VAR is that sometimes they turn around and say, they actually make the decision and the referee has to go against his own one, which is what adds confusion.
Yeah. I mean, it was the right decision, so ultimately it didn't matter. And Ivan Toney a hat-trick. His penalties were pretty cool. And yeah, we've all done something wrong for a woman before in our lives, so I'm not going to lord over him.
Speak for yourself, sir. Speak for yourself.
Check out the Messiah, sir.
Well, the beautiful thing now is, who says money can't buy you happiness? Newcastle is looking like, if you give them a bit more time, they might even win the league. Look at that. Beating Brighton 2-1, looking wonderful. Joe Linton looking like he could be Zidane. Everything is going really well. Neil predicted this. He said they were going to come out of this. Even with Trippier getting injured, Newcastle is looking nice. So is it fair for us to say we can start getting carried away? Let's start planning for next season with a clean slate and probably the sacking of Eddie Howe, Big Steve.
Yep. So if they're gonna go big in the transfer market, I'll be surprised if they do the season with Eddie Howe. He may keep them up, he may do well, but it depends on what they're allowed to spend and what their target is for the following season as to whether Eddie Howe will stay there. If they're looking to do another season just to settle in and bring not top players in, but very good players in, then I can see him staying. But if they're talking about going straight for it, top players, then I'm pushing for Champions League. I can see them looking to replace him.
I mean, we've spoken about this a few times on different episodes of this wonderful Grassroots Chats. Newcastle is doing really well. They decided to gel. Results decided to go for them. Eddie Howe is tactically too. He looks good. It's not a case of I don't know what I'm doing and just throwing. But players look like they have improved. Willock looking really good. I mean, the ex-Bournemouth players, I can't remember their names, but they're all looking nice. And then the new guys. So the question I always ask, and I'll continue to ask, is, considering the fact that he probably bought just the available players that he could use to get the best out of Newcastle, why would they want to get rid of him when he could probably use that expertise for what would be considered better players? The angry one? I'll leave Neil for last because he loves Newcastle.
Well, I guess initially we were all like making snap judgments as if they're going to go from relegation to Champions League in 2 seasons, which probably is very unlikely. So they probably actually got an actual strategy, probably just to get into Europe, to be honest, is the next step. So if that is the strategy, then they probably will keep Eddie Howe, because they can buy better players. I mean, Eddie Howe is good enough to get them into the top 6, 8, whatever it is. It's not inconceivable. But I think so. But his time is short. I mean, unless he really does well, at some point they probably will go for a big brand manager. But for now, probably spend another 100 million next season, get some better players in. Obviously, they're going to pay a premium, so that's why it's 100 million. It's the way it goes. If he's not performing by half season, they'll probably sack him. But if he does well and gets him closer to the top 6, then that's it. It's a long-term process. Definitely, they said something about winning the league within 10 years. So this is not even year 1. It hasn't started yet. So I think they'll keep him.
My question for you, Neil, is that why is it with the managers that don't seem to be, celeb managers and like the Mourinho's. Why, and this is a big if because we have no idea if that's what's going to happen, but why is it that the likes of Eddie Howe will not be given enough time compared to maybe the likes of Mourinho and all the other big name managers?
I mean, this before Mourinho came to the Premier, he done his badges, right? He'd done enough. He'd won the Champions League. He wasn't coming from just as a handsome, young, special, chosen one to the Prem. He had earned that right to be classed as a top manager. And I think again, you look at, I mean, Klopp's probably been the exception. He's done well before he came to the Prem, but he wasn't top where he was at. He was just known for getting the best out of what
he won the Bundesliga as well as a Dortmunder.
Yeah, but he wasn't top. He hadn't won the Champions League, and it was once. And then he's come to the Prem, and he's now up there, established. And Bundesliga is a completely different kettle of fish. With only a couple of teams that are really going to be competing anyway. So that's that. Eddie Howe, I thought he was unlucky a few seasons ago not to be offered the Arsenal job. I thought he might have been in a running for that. I thought he was doing well at Bournemouth. He never got the back in financially at Bournemouth that they potentially needed to get him to the next stage. You get to that one point, right, and then you're at you're only ever going to be 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th. You're at the bottom half, and your quality of your team needs to be improved. We say it's about the top, right?
Sorry. You know why I'm laughing? For you to make one sentence, and Mike and Steve agree, it means that for them to actually go, no. Anyway,
I thought he was unlucky on a personal. I don't think he was ever going to get the job, but I think he was unlucky, and I think he's a good choice. I don't know we're only hypothetically talking about what Newcastle are and aren't going to do. You look at who's the top managers in there; they've all had to earn it, right? And the way that they play football, the brand of football that Newcastle are playing is quite attractive. He's getting the best out of the players that they've got. He's already, and no disrespect to Bournemouth, already jumped ahead with some of the players that he's got now compared to the quality he was working with before, and that's only going to improve. And English managers have never been sexy or attractive from that point of view.
Don't let Harry Redknapp hear you.
No, I mean, I love Harry, but they've always had that mentality of how they play football, right? Eddie Howe is taking some time off football. He's coming back in, looks refreshed, looks up for the challenge. They've bought wisely. I don't think they've bought that bad. A Trippier injury was unfortunate. And a maestro touch putting Joelinton in the centre of the park, right, and getting a whole new level of performance out of him, right?
That's magic.
But he's seeing that.
Pure
so
magic.
That wasn't seen before by the last managers. So you're like, these are the important things that he is noticing. He's got effort, he's got the work rate, but he's not finishing. All right. So how can we amalgamate that into the team and still have that? And at times keeping John Joe Shelby out of the team, right? Who I would always say would be one of my top midfielders for Newcastle to play. He's a great passer of the ball. He always puts in maximum effort. Occasionally he'll get sent off and do something lunatic, but that's part and parcel of having John Joe in a team. So I hope he gets a good long run in there. And if they've got a 10-year plan, I think that could be nice to have him there at the helm and start bringing in some of the British players up through, as well as, looking. Don't forget, they can't spend as much as what Chelsea did when Chelsea came in, because we've got FFP now, right? So it's a whole different ball game. And I don't think they're allowed to sponsor the stadium for $4 billion in their own shell companies, because that will get frowned down upon, right? So it's a whole different way.
Different world. We shall see. We shall see. I mean, the Liverpool-West Ham game, Liverpool won 1-0. West Ham again not being able to capitalize on their chances. They had loads of chances that game. Lanzini should have buried a few things, which just drops West Ham for the battle for the fourth spot. Wolves also losing again to Crystal Palace. Zaha and Olise looking all wonderful. But the last game I actually want to talk about, and of course when we're talking about managerial tactics, strategy, Steven Gerrard is looking like he's getting things right at Villa. I mean, Villa beat Southampton.
Whoa. So we're not going to talk about Arsenal, no? Because we talked about Man United, which was today. We're not going to talk about Arsenal, which is also today.
The one thing I want you guys to please help me out. I know I
Because
said
you
one
said
of
the last
the
game. You
last
said the
games.
last one.
English is a difficult thing when you're not listening, man. But yeah, okay, cool.
It's
All
not.
right,
It's not
cool,
my first
cool.
I'm with
language.
the angry one. I
Yeah,
assumed
yeah.
this was the last game, and I've got notes on everything else. So,
Okay,
all right.
okay.
One of the last
Okay.
games then.
Yeah, it just, I mean, it shows how these two think. Anyway, one of the last games. Steven, thank you, Big Steve, for actually listening. So Steven Gerrard is looking like he's getting things right. I'll tell you one of the best things about Southampton being in form so far. Villa, winning Southampton 4-0, but then having to play Danny Ings, Watkins, and Coutinho on the same pitch, all forward-minded, looking like a good blend. Big Steve, what do you think? Is Steven Gerrard showing us a new brand of football? Well,
Yeah,
not that it's
because
new, but
not new brand of football, but the fact that he's got Coutinho is a massive help. Because when that he's a top player, and if he decides to turn up and turn it on, then you're going to get good performances, and he's going to get much better out of the players around him. It didn't help that Southampton were missing a couple their key centre back, Saluso. I'll pronounce it right one day. But yeah, having those three playing well, and the thing is, it's not that they were just on the pitch together; they were linking up well. They were linking. I think Watkins' goal where Coutinho was to Ings and Ings onto Watkins, and then it's a good finish. So yeah, if he can keep that going, then it's very impressive. It is very impressive.
The angry one, do you think Coutinho will stay past the loan period?
If he doesn't get any other bids, then yeah. I mean, I think he's probably enjoying playing football again, regular, and being the key man, the big I am. So that's always a plus. Playing for his mate Stevie G, all pluses. Aston Villa are going in the right direction, so it's not like they're a small club. So I think if nobody bigger than Villa comes in, and the fee is manageable, then
It looks like
he'll
he's
stay.
very suited to English football. I mean, I say that. Good Lord, dear Lord, for the angry one's birthday, may you please give him some patience just to listen to the question and maybe be able to answer it. But I mean, considering the fact that people claim that he didn't have good seasons in Germany and Spain and all that, he's looking very good for English football. Now the question is,
But then he started Liverpool though.
so the question is, if you are Coutinho, would you actually want to have another spell in another league, considering the fact that clearly English football is the best thing for you? So if he has beats from, I don't know, who else can go for him he hasn't, I don't know, Madrid. Let's say PSG. Neil, do you think he should go to PSG or just stay and continue balling for Steven G?
Do I get a choice to get to Paris to live or the Midlands?
I don't know.
I mean, that's the two choices you've just given there. Maybe he doesn't talk very good French. I'm assuming that his French isn't up to scratch. Now, Coutinho is like Juninho of the Middlesbrough era of the day, right? You've got a player that's just suited to a club, to a style. He wasn't obviously match fit. Let's not think that he's had some bad seasons when he's gone. He still won some trophies at Munich and Barca. It's not like he's just gone and sat in the subs. He's still done all right. He hasn't lived up to his 146 million tag, but that's a big old tag for him to live up to. Stevie G calls him Phil, right? We all worked with him. We'd be calling him Philippe, right? No one would call him Phil, Big Phil or whatever. So they are very good friends from all accounts. So I think that's who do you want to play for? Do you want to play for your mate that's going to say we're going to build a team around you? You're going to flourish. We're making sure that what we're doing is building. And I think, yeah, Aston Villa are on a good upward trajectory, but they're a good club to say we can build a team around you. Whereas if he went to other clubs, they wouldn't be building a team around him. It would be you'll need to fit into how we're playing. So that's going to be in there. I don't know whether he's fitted in nicely or not. One thing that I thought was amazing, you see Chambers outside of the boot to Coutinho for that goal was absolutely sublime, right? I don't know if he's ever done that at Arsenal, but it was.
Yes.
It was brilliant. And you said a new brand of football. What, having strikers and attacking midfielders on the pitch rather than centre midfielders up front. I mean, that was a new brand of football today from United, but this is like how you usually play football. Oh, we've got strikers. Where should we play them? up front. What about the attacking midfielder? Could we put him behind them? Oh, that works brilliantly. So they're used to playing in that way, and that makes life easier because he knows where people should be. And I think Ollie Watkins afterwards, he had a really good interview actually, and he said, we don't think like, he thinks quicker than us. He's already on the next page, so my job is just to run, and he'll find me. He knows where I'm at, and that's what I've got to do. And I'm not at that level of what Coutinho's at, because he understands that mentally, it's not just about the skills of your feet, it's about the vision and how you're reading the game. And Coutinho reads the game that one step ahead. And I think there's a match made in heaven at the moment for Coutinho and Villa, and long may it continue. And if they don't sign him in summer, I don't think it'll be for want of trying. It will be because he's decided to go and live in a warmer climate and enjoy the warm weather. Because I 100% think they should. Southampton was shambolic in that game. They've been on a great form, but that was as poor as Southampton have been since that thrashing that they had of, what was it, 7-0 or whatever it was last.
9
now.
Last question.
Too many numbers.
Last kind of Villa. The angry one. You mentioned how Villa are moving up. What exactly? So let's say Coutinho stays, or let's forget Coutinho. What exactly? Showing that he clearly has some touches. Is it a case of just buying better players, or do you think he can galvanize these players to even do more things next season?
You always have to buy better players. You always have to improve your squad. Even if you buy players to back up your starting 11, you're going to have to improve the squad. So that's what they'll do. I think maybe not massively, but they'll look to, well, it depends where they finish this season, but they'll look to touch into Europe.
Put in another bid for ESR?
Anyway.
Why is that stupid? Why can't they buy ESR?
I mean, they could put in a bid for him, right?
Yeah, what's stupid about that?
Get him.
No, it's all right. You can be pissed off. Speaking about ESR, though, let's go to the wonderful Watford v Arsenal. I mean, in my opinion, Arsenal fans are making it seem like it was going to be a very difficult game, but it was not. No, it was not. We're not talking about Arsenal. I'm sure about Arsenal. How do we go from talking about Arsenal to going back to Man United? Because it's nice. Hitting them out when
did you watch the game today?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it wasn't a walk in the park.
It was.
It was a sweaty 10, 20 minutes.
No,
you know where United.
No,
so this is one of the big things, right?
We'll go back to Man United now.
Let's give Watford some props for today because they didn't give up, did they? Like they continued for the whole of that game. They were 3-1 down. But Man United today were 3-1 down and just gave up.
And I'm sure Man United played the same quality as Arsenal today. The same quality of team.
No, but this is what we're saying. Watford won.
Well, but you beat us 3-2. So
really?
So you're better than us,
so Tottenham is better than Man City now because they beat them last week? Really?
On that day they were.
Hey, listen, I wasn't bringing it. I was just saying that Watford played for the whole game. They were trying to get back in that. Like they had pride. Well. Like they were proud to wear that shirt and they wanted to win.
You're just a hater. You're a hater. Because if
we didn't. We lost. They took 4 points. They took 4 points off us.
Yeah, you couldn't beat Watford. We beat Watford. We beat Watford and you make it like a walk in the park. It's no walk in the park.
Anyway, Big Steve, first question I'll ask you about the game. And I think I asked you last week, but I'll ask you again with this other two that love to hate on the wonderful United. Should Lacazette stay? Because he looks like he's that glue. He's not scoring as many goals as you want him to as the top 9, but he's creating that connectivity in the team, and everything seems to be working.
2 assists,
Should he stay? I know last week you said no, but what are you saying this week now? Have you changed your mind?
No, I haven't changed my mind. If you're looking upwards and improving, you need someone that's going to glue it together and score goals. His finishing he needs to get goals. Simple as that. We can't have the option just to link players. We've got to link play. We've got other players that can link play and make the ball go through them, make the game go through them. But Lacazette, he needs to get goals. Whoever's playing that 9 needs to build, but also contribute to goals.
What's the best thing about the game today for you, the angry one? That was a given. Who played well? What did they do in the team that made you feel so happy? I mean, since you want me to break it down.
Okay, Saka.
Okay. I've broken it down.
Yeah, let's break it down then. Okay. Listen. I'll start with the negatives though. we made that game harder than it needed to be. To be fair, I mean, Ben White's defending was shambolic for that second goal. The first goal, I mean, what a great goal that was. Some Rooney overhead kick. That's fair play. But we should have seen that the game out comfortably as you think it was. But that's not what happened. It was squeaky bum time, pure time wasting. People diving on the floor, pretending they're injured and getting cramps and stuff. You're doing that. You're doing that because the game's not easy. If the game was easy, you'd just be kicking the ball around the park like Man City did with 150,000 passes. But we didn't do that. We're wasting. Oh, sorry. I got it out a little bit. We didn't do that. We're wasting time and then playing the dark hearts because it was a tough game and we were shook. That's how tough it was. I was enjoying Saka playing. Saka, Odegaard have some lovely link up. To be honest, I'll give props today to Laka because his layoffs were sublime. He's involved in 2 goals. Martinelli was inconsistent, but he popped up and scored a goal.
Oh, yeah, that's true. The angry one. You were not on the show when... Who are you? I don't think you were on the show when Neil and Big Steve said technically they think ESR is better than Saka. Were you on there? No, you were not there. Because I knew if you were there, that show would have lasted 10 hours. But
no, I don't know who's better. I mean, at the moment, Saka gets
that's not what they said.
I mean,
we said technically. Remember, there's a key word in there. Technically,
but ESR. Technically. No, I'm not debating who's better. I'm just saying that at the moment, in the media, Saka gets more players than ESR. I know also ESR is not playing at the moment, so it's hard for him to get it. But I don't know. It's tough to say who's. Yeah, actually, you might be right with ESR. To be fair,
fourth spot, Arsenal's on.
Yeah. You said the first goal for Watford was good. How well did Sissoko take that second one, though? I mean, I know the defender was poor, chested it down, beautifully through it. It
Former
was
sports play.
I know. I was so. I was like, who was that? Scored that? No, not the one that played for Spurs. I had to start googling, looking back. I was like, wow. But he took that really well. I don't know if is it Tierney. Is he okay? That ball to the tummy looked a little bit sore. I don't know if he was going to be out for about 15 weeks for where he went down. That was a little bit. It was a bit Rivaldo-esque when he got hit in the face with the and he went down in the World Cup. They were dark outs. You were right. I thought Watford were get brave. They were unlucky. Arsenal were very good in spells. Really, really good. I thought Saka had an outstanding game today. But I think he was allowed to roam a little bit more than usual, which I thought was quite nice. Martinelli, again, he's just so hot and cold. I've had enough of Alan Smith as commentator now. It was horrendous. His Arsenal biases.
When you say Martinelli is hot and cold, are you saying...
He's good 1 second and crap for the other 89 minutes.
Hot and cold within games, not like one game is wonderful and then the next game.
I don't think he's had a wonderful... Saka today was really good. Odegaard was really good today as well, right? And Laka had a good game. And they stand out as having good games. But Martinelli was nowhere near at that level at all today. And I don't think he can get to that level.
No, but you know what? I think he's kind of like
gone.
that.
And he's gone. Hopefully
you can't praise Martinelli in this show. We get rid of you if you praise.
Well, before he comes back, Big Steve. So with Martinelli, he's one of them players that puts his all, gives his heart, yada yada yada, and all that story. So, in terms of hot and cold, clearly, is it based on the fact that he's looked at as a particular level, or just that the consistency is not just there game in, game out?
It's because he's not mature in his game, for me. Whereas you see people like Saka and ESR, they're young players, but they're maturing in their game. If you was to probably cast back to when they first come into the team, they probably play a completely different way now. Whereas Martinelli is playing exactly the same way he plays than when he first came into the Arsenal team. He runs around. It's all emotion. He's not thinking. He doesn't hold his position.
He's a different type of player. And JJ, don't kick me out next time. Yeah.
But he doesn't.
But he's different.
He is doing more defensively these days.
But he's
and helping out Tierney. But it doesn't matter about whether he's a different player. He's not showing maturity in his game sometimes.
With him, he's a different player. So he's not as technically gifted as the other two we talked about. But what he is he's an impact. He'll make an impact and his impact is going to be a goal and assist. It's not about how well he played. He'll play crap for 89 minutes and score a goal. That's the type of player he is.
But there's times when, for example, he'll run and he'll get the ball.
Because really, he's a striker.
And he can release the ball, but he doesn't. And he tries to beat the extra player, and there's no need for it.
Because he's a striker. For me, he's a striker.
What you're saying, Big Steve, is probably has to do with maturity. Most young players
exactly
do all that stuff.
And he's that position. I think he's that position.
Because if you compare him to ESR and Saka, they're all young players, but ESR and Saka have a maturity to their game that they've learned since they've been in the team, and they're now releasing the ball a lot earlier. They don't hold on to it, don't try and overdo it and stuff like that. So,
but Steve, but isn't that because he's out of position?
No,
he's not left winger.
No,
he's a striker.
No, it doesn't matter with a striker. To see, you can see someone if he can release it to Tierney because Tierney's just or sometimes check back and pass it back. He doesn't do it.
But Partey has matured, and he doesn't release the ball.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think that I don't believe he's a winger. I don't think he's playing as a winger. There, you're playing three men up front almost. You're playing out wide, whether they're cutting inside or what. He doesn't have the same maturity, which I think Pepe suffers with as well. And for some reason, commentators are going, he's a great impact player, Pepe. He was a great get. I'm like, he's played like one half decent 10-minute game of football this season, and we'll build him 75 million up as a good player. But Martinelli, if he is meant to be the striker, and I think this is the problem that maybe keeping Laka will be the issue, right? Then Martinelli won't play up there. But maybe they should be putting him in that position as a sub and not bring in no goals Ketia on to like. I don't understand that. He's leaving. I still don't get Nketiah coming on the pitch.
He hasn't left yet, though.
He's leaving.
I mean, you can still, you have to play him. Speaking about maturity, and
Arsenal haven't offered him a new contract, have they? Since the last one he rejected.
No. What's the point if he's going to? I think they've gotten to their threshold. Then. Yeah, but till he leaves, he's still their player, so they might as well. And for some reason, I think Arteta kind of likes him. I don't know.
But why not play Martinelli there?
He should be, shouldn't he? Like he should be coming on and playing
because
there
Martinelli will probably offer you more in terms of helping the team out
goals
and helping the team out and things.
Yeah, we don't want goals up front.
No. You put. I'm of the opinion that so the reason Eddie comes in at the times that he comes in is because I think he's just an extra leg. He has not. I don't really think Arteta looks at the guy and goes, "This guy can probably give me a goal." I think somebody's tired. Let's just put somebody in.
Do you think that was a little bit like Rashford today? And then Ketia, kind of like a similar game, come on and do absolutely nothing and barely move for 20 minutes.
At some point, we'll talk about Asda and Man United will come inside or something. There'll always be a way Man United
the whoop style.
Eddie's better than Rashford at the moment, anyway, to be fair.
Well, I found him.
Well, yeah, basically.
Can we talk about Rashford for 2 seconds, right? There's
If you
Man,
must.
you have got no. You're a United fan, right? So I don't know any United fans because where I live, there's no glory hunters in Swindon, obviously. There's loads, right? Born and bred the Manchester way, right, JJ? So you've got no Ronaldo, no Cavani, yeah. So your next forward after that is Rashford, right?
Not necessarily, no.
Who else have you got? Pogba and Fernandes?
Everybody was making. I mean, even Gary Neville even said, "Oh, you would think this is a game where Rashford starts." No, it's not, because Rashford has been poor.
That's just what I'm asking. But how has he fallen that much?
I have no idea. I think if you look at Man United the past seasons, Rashford always goes through up down. It's steady. He goes through a period where he can do no wrong, everything is working well, and then he goes through a period that even to control the ball just seems, oh my God, this is tough. Now they're always making. Initially, I don't know what the excuse was. It was a case of, oh, he's burnt out, he's running too much, and then it came, oh, he's doing too much off the pitch, blah 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 blah. Look at Rashford every season; he goes up down, up down. If I must blame anything other than it being Rashford's fault, I would say the managers don't know how to manage him, because you should be able to look at a player and just go, this is the period where he falls, he dips in, and maybe play him in different positions or do. It's the same thing with Lingard. I think mentally Lingard is finished at Man United. That's it. I don't think, and at this point, I don't think it probably has much to do with the boy himself. But Rashford in the game, Elanga has been on form. Pogba, since he came back from injury, has contributed, and today he was playing in the pivot position. Then you have players like Fernandez, who's the Martinelli effect in the sense that, yes, still can play 89 minutes of rubbish and do one pass, and, everything is wonderful. Sancho has been on form. So Rashford not starting. And if you want to talk about pace, all the players that played today, Elanga on the wing, Sancho, they all have pace, and this guy's on form. So why's Rashford starting? No reason. He'll come back and probably score one goal and have a spell of good form, but there was no reason for him to start today. And in terms of maturity and stuff, one question I wanted to ask still on the Arsenal game, because Steve has mentioned it a few times, and I always get confused when emotion is brought in. So is it emotion or is it maturity? Because I think Ramsdale goes through that situation sometimes.
They go hand in hand. And you saw today,
I think he gets
flaws in
bored.
Ramsdale games. Yes.
I think he gets bored when he goes through a period where, okay, my team is playing well, I want to get involved here. And then he tries funny things. And I know Steven mentioned it a few times. What do you think, Angry One? Because he could go from having a very perfect game to just, let me try and do a boo-boo here or something.
Wait, are you asking about Ramsdale or are you asking about emotion versus
maturity?
I
was trying to see if there's a difference according to the way Steve has explained it. Is it?
Yeah, I think there's a difference, but I do think sometimes if you're immature, then you play with emotion more because you don't know how to use the emotion. You don't know how to channel the emotion. Example, Henry would get pissed off, he'd score a hat-trick, but he knows how to channel that emotion. Ramsdale and these young'uns, they don't, well, I won't say Ramsdale, but younger players or less mature players, forget about age, less mature players don't know how to manage the emotion, so then they'll go around kicking people.
But with Ramsdale now, do you see that every now and then, what Steve was talking about in terms...
I see it in McTominay. He's kicking people for no reason. I don't really see it.
The same thing that Ramsdale done today is the stuff that Pickford does.
No, man, you can't compare those two guys.
No.
I'm confused. You can compare Ramsdale to McTominay. But you can't compare Ramsdale to Pickford. Oh, wow.
No, Pickford is not okay. He's got a couple of challenges. Short picnic that it's not the same thing.
The same thing that Ramsdale, you see when he came out, instead of just clearing the ball first time with his left foot, tried to take a couple of touches, gave it to Dennis, who could have, if he did shoot first time, we could have gone in. And there was a couple other chances where he's very confident in his feet, yes, but he's trying to make passes when he can probably just go longer and clear the pressure.
Yeah, that's because you're an old school keeper who can't kick for shit. That's why.
Okay,
Steve.
Nothing to do with
yeah.
Neil.
Yes, it is. It's your prejudice against new keepers because you don't like using your feet.
You know, Big Steve. You could tell him what he does that doesn't make him a modern day striker too. You could.
No point.
No point. All right. Just.
Why is no,
I thought the angry one was as prolific as Nketiah.
No.
Well, no, Nketiah hit the post today, so
it's one of them statements, Neil. You got to take that back, man. You got to take that back. Yeah. Anyway, Neil, what do you think about Ramsdale?
I think Ramsdale's
future England goalkeeper.
You don't like him. We already know that.
No, I don't dislike him. I've never met him. I'm sure he's a sound top lad.
One of the other shows you're kicking off that he was in our top.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest about it. Like, he's not the best keeper in the Prem, but there's keeping where he needs to be, right? He's an improving young keeper. He's 23 years old. I'm not expecting him to be the polished article like you guys. Like, oh, I want to play keeper. No, he's 23, right? He's got another 10 years before he reaches that maturity age. He has what I think Arsenal have been missing in goal is he probably thinks he's better with his feet than he really is, but he isn't scared to kick it long, and he's got that in him that he knows. Like some of those goal kicks at the end of the game today, where he was just punting them like 80 yards up the field. That's needed. That's a sign of maturity to try and get the ball further forward. And there's nothing wrong with playing like that. The whole rolling it out and only passing to your fullbacks or centre backs is very detrimental to any game of football. And I think he is beyond that level now, which I think is a really good thing.
So,
yeah.
Neil, one last thing.
One. Okay.
Yes, one.
Okay.
Ramsdale and Pickford. Who's better?
Ramsdale or Pickford?
Mm-hmm.
I'm picking Ramsdale. No one's picking Pickford on club form.
He's England number one.
For England, he's like Maguire. He sticks on that England shirt, and you're like, who is this player? I've got no idea. Then he goes back to his club, and he's like Coco the Clown.
All right, people. As always, there's always a link back to Man United on this wonderful show. And I'll tell you what, I can promise you there will be a link right now as we go to player and flop of the week. There will be a link. And let's start with you, Big Steve.
Oh man, why you always pick me when I'm not ready?
Yes, be ready.
Let me think about it.
Okay, I'll go with Neil because I know Neil is ready. Player and flop of the week.
Yes, Steve. Don't be ready for something that we do every week, and you know about. Player of the week. I'm going to go with Ivan Toney hat-trick. Fair play to him. I think he thoroughly deserved that. And flop of the week, Rashford, that can't even get in a starting lineup with no strikers on the pitch. Yeah, what a flop.
All right. The angry one?
I'm going to throw in Maguire.
Surprise.
Of the week. Because the way that he was just fighting people left, right, and centre in that game, wrestling people, giving people suplexes, man only got one card. What's going on? Dead player. But, you know, my little player of the week, I'm going to give it to Trent Alexander-Arnold. Because man popped in that nice little assist to Mane. And then, other end of the pitch, goal line clearance that gives him that 3 points. What a player. And he's probably, I think he's got the highest assists for their team.
At some point, season. I think he was the third in Europe.
In Europe, innit?
He's probably probably going second, if not first. Steve?
Coutinho, player of the week. I think he played very well for Villa. 2 goals, could have had a couple more. Flop of the week, I'll just say it for the sake of saying it, Harry Maguire.
Man, speak your mind, Steve. That's not very mature. That's not very mature.
That was peer pressure, JJ. So peer pressure. I haven't taken the piss out of Man United all show.
No, please join them. You might as well just join them. No,
I'm not like that.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you for watching, listening. If you like what you hear, please hit that wonderful red button, subscribe, and all that wonderful good stuff. We shall see you on Wednesday for the future show. And we'll probably discuss on the future show the fixtures coming in the Premier League at the weekend. Till then, say goodbye to the wonderful Man United lovers, Neil, and the angry one. And of course, our maturity shrink, Big Steve. Goodbye.